Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to move on to the next session where we'll have short presentations by three experts. To start with, may I now invite Shri Vivek Adya, Associate Director BCG, to give a brief talk on understanding climate data. Shri Adya is an Associate Director at BCG. He has 20 plus years of experience in climate change and sustainability. His expertise includes climate change, including abatement levers and their economics, markets and emissions regulation, and related strategies for private and public sectors. He has extensive experience creating blueprints for climate and green finance, carbon markets, sustainable manufacturing programs, ESG strategies and implementation, climate negotiations, and net zero standards. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can we have the slide deck, please? All right. I think we've had an amazing morning session so far, and some very, very insightful conversations. We'll try and get into a little bit of tactical aspects here, and I think while my deck gets loaded up, this is a session about use of technology. What are the newest tools that are available to kind of ace climate finance? We've been talking about measurement, we've been talking about finance gaps, we've been talking about technology. So probably I'll make a small attempt to share one of the tools that is something that we had supported. Maybe a quick show of hands here. All of us have heard of AI. Have we used AI? Anyone who has not used AI, maybe can we have a show of hands? Okay. Have you used AI for climate or climate finance? Lovely. Okay. Great. I think today we have wealth of tools, opportunities, to address the data gaps that exist. And I'll make a very quick, short presentation about how increasingly AI technology, is kind of helping ace our measurement kind of gaps or challenges. We all know, we all are here, the most important people in the room to solve the climate crisis. Without financial institutions, without us financiers, we won't be able to solve this. Of course, there is increased pressure, there are growing commitments, but there is so much that's happening, and we have an outsized role that we can play in this space, and we can't really think of a net zero world if the FIs don't get together. I think if we move to the next one, no matter what, across whichever value chain we are playing with, whether we are the retail banks, whether we are looking at the asset management, insurance, private equity, each one of us have a very important role to play. And if we, I'll just put this across. All of us, have we seen something like this? Have we invested into apparel factories? Maybe our organizations have done. This is a photo of a state-of-the-art textile unit in Tirupur. Is it easy to measure emissions or environmental impact here? Easy, difficult? Do we have access? Maybe we've refinanced here. Okay, let's see another picture. Auto factory in Pune. Have we funded any of these things, invested? Maybe provided debt? Easy or difficult? How do we measure? Do we know the footprint of our portfolio here? Maybe one last picture, Pratik. This is rice cultivation in North India. Again, have we done agri loans? Is it easy or difficult to measure impact coming in from some of these sources? This is where the challenge is. When wear this hat of an investor, an FI, this is where the challenge is. This is the data gap that exists. Most of the times we refinance, we've been doing a lot of investments, loans, different forms of lending products, but we have very little access to data directly, and this is the single biggest gap that exists. And if we are able to tackle this, then I think half of our battle is won, because we've been hearing if you don't measure, you cannot manage, and if you don't measure, it won't get done, right? And this is where there is a very simple tool here, which is called CO2.FI. What this does is this tries to address data challenges across 4 different levels, and there is a cascade approach that we've looked at in this tool. The first part is basically all the reported emissions or data that comes to you from the environmental side. So this is where the bank gets these reports from your clients, from your people. If there are any researches done, direct inputs coming in, then that's the first piece. The second layer is sometimes we get these reports carried out by third-party organizations, maybe from a sectoral point of view. Then that kind of pieces fit in the second level. Third is more towards really looking at where the gaps are, and if we don't try and close in on the gaps, we might not have access to front-end data, but there are models, there are different techniques, projections that are being used to address some of these data gaps, and that's where the models kind of come in. And for places where we don't really have any line of sight, there is always a proxy that can be used, right? And why do you really need to have a very wide coverage of data and also try and get it as accurate as possible, right? So if you move from top to bottom, from level 1 to level 4, your accuracy kind of goes out, because you don't have direct ownership on the data, and you use a lot of assumptions, modeling, all of it. But as you go down, you are also increasing the coverage. Why some kind of analysis like this is available or important? Maybe this shirt, if I'm wearing here in India, I'm probably using this 160, 180 times. Maybe someone in Europe is just using this for 30 times, 30 wash cycles or so. Maybe the number of people in a bus in Mumbai here is very different from the number of people in a bus in Paris. So some of these estimates, if you cannot make it to a more local context, to your specific context, to your specific area of work, it can become very, very tricky. And we may significantly overestimate emissions or underestimate the impact. And if you are not able to get our goals or targets in place properly, then it kind of is a zero-sum game. And that's why we need these different layers of data to be mapped, and also coverage and accuracy balance. And CO2.FI does it. What it really does is it helps you on 3 different aspects, and this is what anytime we want to start this journey into overall net zero, portfolio decarbonization, climate action kind of a context, there are 3 things that are most important: measurement, decision, and then overall action or reduction, right? CO2.FI, with its large data sources, the 4 stack layer, and with 50 plus different kind of inputs coming in, helps you really ace the measurement side of it. It helps you address gaps or blind spots in your own portfolio, in your data, and it gives you like a nice picture of what percentage of your portfolio has what kind of impact, and how do you kind of go towards it. The second piece is on decisions, and this is where the sectoral roadmaps, strategic decisions that come in, because if we take these net zero goals or decarbonization goals, there is always a roadmap at play where we'll say by so-and-so period, our portfolio will start to become greener and greener, and maybe we'll reach to a point where it's possible. And to do that, we need to know how the sectors are moving. We need to know how much is the auto sector transitioning, or agriculture, or buildings and so on. Where is the technology moving? Where is the regulation moving? And there are these sectoral roadmaps inbuilt into the tool to give you that kind of projections and analysis. And once you have that set of information, it's then, time for action, and it gives you very clear nuances on how do you reduce, right? When I started work 20 years back on climate and sustainability, if you see the bottles out there on your tables, if you had to measure the impact of those bottles, there was only one emission factor that existed, an international one. So you just multiplied the number of bottles with that factor to get your footprint. But today with tools like these, you will have 300 different scenarios which will tell you how much, when, how you can reduce, to what extent. Basis the size of the bottle, the size of the neck, the percentage recycled content in glass, the shade of your bottle, blue, green, brown, whatever, and give you those instances where you can really pick the best choice to reduce and how do you go about it. So largely, this is what I wanted to share with all of you. Tools like these are available. Please do look out. Please do incorporate technology in your journey towards becoming, a climate smart, climate resilient bank FI. Look at the ways in which you can measure, see what kind of decision tools are available, roadmaps are available for you to reduce, and then eventually get the right set of decision points in a complex world that exists for decarbonization to really do this in the lowest possible cost. So I think with this, my time is up for now. I'll pause here, but happy to share more details on tools and approaches to do this. Yes, Ash. We can probably have a demo set up for anyone who's interested, and we can probably walk you all through with this. Right. Yes, Rupa.
Is the sectoral pathway aligned to India?
Sorry.
Is it aligned? The sectoral pathways that
yes,
you mentioned,
yes.
Is it India aligned?
Yes, yes. We have the global ones, we have regional ones, and then we have the country-specific India ones as well. And I can share more details. Perfect. I think we'll move on, and happy to work offline and probably arrange a demo of this tool to anyone who's interested. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, sir.